Leon's story starts out with him shooting the president, who was also a very close personal friend. We find, starting with him, that he is accompanied by a new female companion, Helena Harper, who is apparently a member of the Secret Service who has some secrets of her own. As Leon searches the college campus, we find a man who's looking for his daughter. Instantly, we notice that everything is slower paced. You can't run, you can't draw your weapon, you can't do anything actiony. It sets up the mood for a true survival horror game, which to most fans would seem like a welcome return to form. After finding the professor's daughter, we escort them both to the elevator, and as the elevator begins to head down, we find that his daughter is an undercover agent, because she likes to take a bite out of her father, who is obviously embezzling from the college. She's all about taking a bite out of crime. Right? Right? Am I right?
Moving on from that, we're quickly introduced to our QuickTime events and slow-motion camera, along with our shifting camera views, which will accompany us like an unwanted third wheel throughout the entire game. As we make our way outside, we find utter chaos as we fight through all the zombros. We make a quick pit stop so Leon can go completely out of character and want to try to save some teens that were obviously zombie chow.
After making our way through the campus, we find a police car. Leon should be great at this. He was a cop once.
Actually, things with more than two wheels are kind of...
Shut up, he'll be fine. Anyway, he's not fine. Anyway, after recovering from what can only be described as a horrible crash... Eh?
No, you're done. After Leon and Helena drop down a sewer and walk a small way, we should reach the end of Chapter 1. Haha, joke's on you. We still got another 3 hours to go. Leon and Helena make their way through the sewers to the railway station that apparently connects to the sewers for some reason.
Leon and Helena make their way through the train tracks, making minor stops to grab the wall anytime a runaway train's never coming back. They make it to the end of the tracks to find their way blocked by a roll-up door. The two hear a sound from a train car and open it up so a fat ginger can helpfully open the roll-up door and invite all the cool people to the party.
Coincidentally, this is the first mention of a guy named Peter. The woman literally became a snack so she could run back to be with Peter. Seems legit. As they make their way through a few houses and grab a few keys, Leon and Helena come into their first contact with a screamer.
I've dated a few of those. The gas station is where the duo meets their first survivors, including Peter, who seemed to have hooked up with another survivor. Man, Peter's a dick. With some help from the paramedics, they blow up the gas station and hunker down into a gun shop, fleeing rooms after a certain number of zombies are killed in each one.
A fat zombie breaks into one of the rooms and gets thoroughly wasted. Once again, the survivors flee to the rooftop, then finally to a bus where a few of the survivors become... not survivors. Well, you tried. The bus is stopped from going forward by Robert, sporting the gamer tag XXYourMomLovesMe6969, but a few well-placed bullets to the head find that he hasn't had Doritos or Mountain Dew in at least 10 minutes, and the bus plows over him. The bus continues through the streets of the lovely off-brand Raccoon City, only for the driver to swerve directly into a zombie that he had plenty of room to avoid, which bursts a tire and sends the bus careening off a cliff. To add insult to injury, a nice truck driver is getting directions from some nice citizens that are just dying to help when he crashes into the bus and sends it the rest of the way off the cliff. The last of the survivors do not survive. Helena and Leon find their way through a cemetery that they conveniently landed in, deciding that a chapel would be the best way to go. You do realize Chapter 2 started there, right?
Oh, it did? I didn't notice because the last 3 fucking times a new chapter should have started, it just kept going.
After Leon and Helena enter the chapel, they fight a giant fart monster.
Relative of yours?
I won't grace that with an answer.
After disposing of that, we make our way below the chapel into secret labs, because this church was owned by the Illuminati, obviously. In the labs, we see a... what's that thing called again?
VHS. It was the thing they had before DVDs.
It was 2013. Who the hell was still using VHS tapes? This is a figment of my imagination, right?
Nope, they did it so they could label the tape Happy Birthday Ada.
Okay. Moving on, Leon and Helena escape the labs and find Dabra.
Helena gives Dabra a lift while her and Leon make their way to the nearest convenient place for Dabra to transform into a sharp tentacled beast.
I've seen enough hentai to know where this is headed.
Helena and Leon get separated long enough for Ada to propose to Leon,
and 3 of them jump into the minecart to escape Vector.
Helena says her goodbyes, and we instantly forget that Debra existed as Chapter 2 comes to an end.
Chapter 3 starts, and we're introduced to Leon's main antagonist, Colonel Simmons, who is very upset that someone took his chicken recipe. Simmons talks to Leon and Helena on the phone and tells them, like all good cases in the U.S. justice system, they are guilty until proven innocent.
Question.
Yeah?
How the hell do they have cell service at the center of the fucking earth and I can barely get it in my backyard? Like, who's their carrier?
It'll hear you. Shh.
What will?
I'll tell you later.
Anyway, the two make their way through some catacombs, but Helena gets separated from Leon for a bit by an overly helpful fish who is very upset that she peed in the water.
This entire chapter is just filler. The two fight the zombified child of Gene Simmons and Free Willy, but with a bit of explosive tongue-in-cheek antics, he becomes Fish Flakes.
Leon and Helena are treated to a beautiful nuclear sunset as Simmons bombs the mess that was Chapter 1. The two talk to Hunnigan to fake their deaths and prepare to head for Simmons' next franchise opportunity, China.
After showing the passports of 2 dead U.S. agents, Leon and Helena board a plane with absolutely 0 problems. The two notice something wacky going on with the plane, and of course can go into the pilot's cabin since they're dead U.S. agents.
One of the pilots hatches into a giant flatulence monster. Relative of yours?
That one's already been used.
Well, I told it better.
You told it the first time.
Well, anyway, Leon and Helena track Uncle Mike down to the cargo bay where he's been asking everyone to pull his fingers.
They activate a magic lever to lose everyone's luggage.
So that's why I always lose my bag on my trips.
It's the United Way. Apparently, Uncle Mike also decided he needed to get out of the plane at just that moment, so he also flies out.
Leon decides to save himself and Helena by piloting the plane.
And subsequently forgets it has more than 2 wheels.
So the two of them crash the party in China, where they meet with Shake and Jerry. They fight Umaro in a burning propane shipping yard.
Jerry shows us the dangers of teenage driving, then lets Jesus take the wheel, only to realize Jesus only drove mules and the bus subsequently crashes.
We're separated from Shake and Jerry, but find Ada. After chasing her through a warehouse filled with exploding Roombas with vendettas, they finally meet up with Chris and Lars. Chris and Leon play rock, paper, scissors with each other's faces and torsos, then Leon convinces Chris to turn Ada over to him.
Ada flashes everybody, not as cool as you think, and makes her escape. We stumble onto Simmons and his hit squad. He decides he doesn't want to give up his famous chicken recipe and tells the group to shoot them.
So the group does the rational thing and shoots at Shake and Jerry, who are also in the room. Realizing he should have specified, he tells them to stop shooting and docks their pay.
A competing fried chicken company spokesperson shoots Simmons with the chicken pox, and Simmons starts transforming. Leon and Helena have a showdown on a train, and Simmons bitch slaps an oncoming train.
That's the best train bitch-slapping action I've seen since Saban. Well, the other train didn't much care for Simmons bitch-slapping its brother and gets its revenge, killing the final boss, which is odd considering everyone else gets 5 chapters.
The train jumps off the rails like the story decided to do 3 hours ago, and we find that China is saved by the BSAA and is being evacuated. The story ends happily ever after. Oh fuck, there's a missile! The lady doesn't know how windows work in a zombie apocalypse, but the zombies realize that woman is in a gourmet restaurant, so they decide to devour her.
Isn't everything a gourmet restaurant to a zombie?
Semantics. Anyway, Chapter 5 starts, and Leon is informed that Ada is dead. Leon and Helena escape through a zombified China.
Or as I like to call it, North Korea.
The BSAA gets smart and doesn't allow Leon to drive, while Helena sits in the back and stares at herself.
The pair are greeted by a helicopter piloted by Ada, who apparently got better. They escape into a building, then into a freeway, which catches some explosions from a gas tanker.
Those are highly contagious, apparently, as everything else comes down with a case of explosions.
They escape onto a helicopter and find that the co-pilot has spilled ketchup all over himself and is taken to the back of the helicopter.
The bad takeout causes the co-pilot to become a zombie, and Leon shoots him and helps him off the helicopter.
A random encounter with a train causes the helicopter to slide into the building, and Leon and Helena finally break the glass ceiling.
The two escape into a memorial for used cars and find that Simmons is alive and well in a new form.
He becomes a T-Rex and finally has his eye on the prize.
No.
He happened to be keeping an eye out for Leon and Helena.
No.
He looks to defeat...
No. No.
Good. I don't know where I was going with that anyway. I can only see the short term.
After a bullet sandwich, BSAA comes in with a turret hummer, gets flipped, and Leon and Helena finally kill Simmons with the help of Ada.
They take an elevator, which decides it's done working, and takes the rest of the day off, and find that Simmons is pursuing them.
With the help of Ada again, Leon and Helena kill Simmons for real this time.
Ada leaves a present for Leon on the roof. Simmons absorbs some zombies, which are having none of that shit, and decide to eat Simmons instead. And he dies.
Simmons actually becomes the Lord of the Flies.
He realizes he's pretty fly for a white guy.
Simmons is taken down by a lightning storm and finally gets the point. I'm not saying that.
You already did.
Damn it! Well, he finally gets the point and fills out the umbrella emblem with the 40 gallons of blood we all learned in biology all humans have flowing through their bodies.
Leon grows a brain and asks Helena to drive the helicopter, and the two of them actually make it out safely.
This concludes Leon's side of the story. It was a daunting, exhausting trip, but we finally made it.
And now for the moment I had been waiting for. Chris's campaign starts out how all my good stories start. I was drinking rum and...
Actually, I think that's whiskey.
You might be onto something, but from the looks of it, it might just be the local drinking water. Anyway, a new face comes up and confronts Chris about his drinking problem and tells him to nut up or shut up, at which point Chris punches him into a fine mist.
That doesn't happen.
If it was based in reality, it would have.
Just get on with it.
So anyway, Chris and his new lackey Sears are exiting a helicopter, apparently going into a place where they're bombarded by the media.
They make their way through China as their mission is to rescue UN hostages.
It's not looking good. You gotta put an end to this mess.
The two break an elevator and rescue the hostages with plenty of time to escape. So they do that.
Actually, Piers makes a call to order a missile from Amazon while they're still in the building, and selected same-minute delivery.
What an idiot. Chris punches the missile and it saves the day.
That didn't happen. They just escaped the building just in time for the missile to destroy the rest of the elevators in the apartment complex.
Chris looks forward and sees some cocoons getting burned by flamethrowers, which triggers flashbacks to a rookie named Finn, who is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. Hi, Yuri.
Chapter 2's flashback starts out in the streets, where the duo make their way through the streets of Edonia. Traveling to a bridge.
Chris and Hears go separate ways on the bridge, where the rookie snipes to keep the important people safe. So the team flees further into the city where they meet Jake Mueller and Agent Sherry Birkin, where the team fights off $2 brand El Gigantes and take out a few anti-aircraft guns.
After some smart-ass words by the mercenary, Piers gets his panties in a wad like every YouTube commenter and decides he wants to fight.
I feel him.
As Chris calms down the second grader he's traveling with, they make their way into a mansion with questionable decoration choices.
I take it you're not a fan of the House of Blacks?
If I got that reference, I'm sure I would be annoyed.
The group finds Ada and trusts their greenest soldier among them to watch her. Lears is told to watch Finn watch Ada, and the group continues. They fight off several monsters that hatch from cocoons, make a circle around the mansion, and get separated from Ada.
Doors come down and separate those with plot armor from those without it, and all the soldiers except Chris and Piers get infected by a needle bomb thrown by Ada.
Chris gets into an utter slobber knocker with transformed Finn and gets thrown against the wall, where he hits his head and forgets about his crew.
I feel like that happened to me a few times during this game.
Lars realizes that Chris has remembered their fallen allies and celebrates by finding someone else to whine about.
As we continue into Chapter 3, we fast forward to present day, where Chris and Piers take a break to play on the slides and panda rockers. It's always nice to be able to enjoy the relaxing things, even in the middle of a war zone.
The new crew makes their way through the city and encounters a giant invisible snake.
Resident Evil did it.
What? Of course they did it. We're watching it happen.
No, Jill already fought a giant snake in the previous Resident Evil.
That makes more sense.
A snake picks off all the new guys with the exception of Marco.
Polo. They fry the snake because they didn't have a surge protector and make it out with Marco alive, which is better than Chris's previous track record.
which is why Ada comes and infects Marco. Chris hesitates to shoot the mutated Marco, but Piers quickly dispatches him, which causes Chris and Piers to have a fight.
Gunter leans in to give Chris a makeup kiss, but Chris slams him against the wall and starts heading out for vengeance against Ada Wong.
Piers decides he can't survive without Chris and follows him like a lost puppy. They chase Ada to some warehouse and Leon and Chris duke it out, allowing Ada to escape.
Gregor and Chris chase after Ada in a Humvee for a few minutes, then crash on a tanker as they catch up with Ada.
Chapter 4 starts on the tanker as Chris and Piers wake up from the wreckage. Ada was nice enough to wait for the two to start to stir before making her way deeper into the tanker.
Chris and Vladov hotwire the missile to take down the bulkhead door and continue after Ada while being chased by grocery dumpster Regenerator.
Chris and Piers confront fake Ada and see her get gunned down by the Mafia.
The Lannisters send their regards.
What?
Never mind. Chris and Vladimir jet off to disarm a missile on another tanker while avoiding another cheap-ass El Gigante. The missile launches, and we see the same scene that Leon and Helena saw. China is enveloped in a cloud, and Chris and Dimitri go to an underwater oil rig to save Jake and Sherry, and I noticed for the first time that Klaus has APOS on his vest, which really explains so much.
In Chapter 5, Chris plays with some levers that free Jake and Sherry, but release a computer bug virus to alert all the enemies that there are intruders. The two run on to an oddly built elevator where they meet up with Jake and Sherry.
Shake shoots Chris point blank in the face, and we find that Chris has been working out his face muscles so they easily deflect such a puny bullet.
I think he shot that to the side.
I know what I saw.
So the bastard child of Skeletor and Mother Brain hatches from the giant cocoon and starts chasing Chris and Piers.
Chris and Chekhov fight the thing.
Chris and Piers run from the thing a bit before fighting it again. It wrecks Piers' arm to the point that he completely rips it off.
So Chekhov loads his gun by injecting himself with a virus and growing a linear launcher to replace his previous arm. This is the first time in the game that I actually respected Chekhov.
With the new Deus Ex Machina, the pair fight the thing and run towards the escape pod, eventually making it. Piers begins to change more and forces Chris to go on without him. Chris is bombarded by the thing again before he makes a shocking discovery.
So Chris gripes about losing his only surviving member of the Alpha team and vows to only participate in Bravo missions from this point forward. And now that we've gotten the hype out of the way, let's play the campaign of the two newcomers, Shake and Jerry. Shake just took some mad drugs that made all his friends mad ripped, or turned them into zombies or something. Anyway, Jerry finds him and says, "We need your blood, blah blah blah, dodge some bullets."
The two make their way to a battlefield of BSAA gunfire in Juavo.
After making our way through the battlefield, Shake and Jerry find themselves in an abandoned warehouse that's a bit too quiet for the average bear. As they approach the front door, we find that it is in fact too good to be true. A big cuddly misunderstood emo child drops in from the ceiling.
He's none of those things. That's Ustanok, the game's pale comparison to Nemesis. He'll be our companion through this campaign.
I was just thinking, when they mentioned drop-in, drop-out multiplayer, this guy took the cake.
Can we not do that? Whatever this is?
Buzzkill. So Shake and Jerry fend off Uganda and find themselves running for dear life. They run for a while and end up in the exact location as Chris and Shears.
And the pair fights off the two always save El Gigantes and jumps aboard a helicopter, only to find they're being chased by 3 more helicopters, one of which is carrying Ustanok.
You're right, I could use a snack.
So Ustanok goes down, but is persistent enough to ask us for a parachute. We don't oblige.
And the chapter ends with the annoying instant death quick-time event, followed by Jerry getting a rod shoved through her in the middle of a giant snowfield.
Dude, there's kids watching. Chapter 2 picks up immediately afterward, showing that the G-Virus has made Jerry invincible.
Cool. I'm gonna run over you with the snowmobile now.
Yeah, invincible in cutscenes, asshole. That's not how that works. Anyway, we collect 3 USB sticks, which must be like 12 kilobytes because of how much data could be on these things. That has to be split up into 3 thumbsticks.
So then, Shake and Jerry die a lot because driving snowmobiles escapes them. The avalanche, oh yeah, there's an avalanche that they were running away from, locks them in a cave, and good old Usti is there because it's actually his home, because it's as cold as his small, dead heart.
Through lots of stealth, Shake and Jerry make it outside, only to be confronted and captured by Ada?
So, Chapter 3 starts out exactly 6 months later when Shake decides he no longer likes being a prisoner. Like, why 6 months? Why exactly 6 months? He was okay with being a prisoner for 5 months and 29 days, but that 30th day he was just feeling froggy. This is one of those moments that never made sense to me. Did they stop bringing him the good food? Did they run out of the porno mags? Did he just smell the pheromones Jerry was letting off, so like a mongoloid, he had to charge at everything that stood between them?
It's best not to think about it too much. You'll fall into the hole.
The hole?
The plot hole. Anyway, while Shake is punching his way through hordes of Juavo, Jerry does the unimaginable things with a stun rod and a Juavo. I know this because the camera goes away for it.
The two fight their way through the facility and meet up. We find out that the mysterious mercenary is actually the son of...
Know anything about him? Albert Wesker?
He sneaks a peek of Jerry's ass and gives a nod, letting us know it's his style, and he'll be buying one just like it for himself after he gets that $50 million for his blood.
So they fight their way through the facility with a stupid-looking new UI.
You mispronounced best UI?
I know what I said. Anyway, they make it to the facility and find Jerry's phone.
Fully charged. Why the hell was it fully charged? It's been 6 months. Why the hell would the captors keep her phone fully charged? What the actual hell?
Flappy Bird.
Fucking Flappy Bird?
That or plot holes, and we know what happens when we question those.
Shit. I almost flew the coop there. Thanks for bringing me back to reality.
Did you just...
Shh. It's alright.
Continuing on then, a tank barges into the building wanted to tell Shake and Jerry of the true word of God.
After outrunning the tank, Shake and Jerry retreat to a beautiful outdoor water garden only to have the tank burst through the walls of the building like the Kool-Aid Man. Shake decides he needs to steal a motorcycle, but decides he'll fist some Jawabo while his partner fends off a tank because nothing could go wrong with that.
They escape on the motorcycle, get chased by a helicopter that's a bit too persistent. Chapter 4 starts, and it's another filler chapter.
But it gives me my absolute favorite line of the game. Son of a goddamn-it. Shake and Jerry tear through the town on the motorcycle for a while until they do lots of stunts such as flying upside down over the helicopter.
That's not how it's supposed to happen, I'm pretty sure.
So if the game isn't going to take this fucking seriously, why the hell should I? The two make a glorious crash landing, then find themselves in a propane warehouse where they meet up with Leon and Helena, where they fight off Usti once again.
After fighting off Usti, they make their way through China's version of Jersey, but it's slightly less shitty. They encounter a chainsaw Juavo for no other reason than RE4 did it. After putting the manager special Chainsaw Man through the chopping block, the two meet up with Simmons, get ambushed, and get captured again.
Chapter 5 starts, which consists of pulling a lot of levers and running from the always save regenerator.
We gotta get more? Damn it!
They escape a collapsing elevator and find Umaro waiting for them for Hell in a Cell. It's a great match.
Anyway, Shake and Jerry get knocked into a hexagon and fend off Ustanok long enough for Shake to rip his balls off while Jerry performs the shocker on the beast.
Half-witted Mankind throws Shake onto an isolated grate and then kicks his gun into the lava below in the most petty move I have ever seen.
Ustanok challenges Shake to mortal combat, but quickly loses and falls into the lava to die in peace, as the structures collapse in around him.
The two jump onto a mine cart to escape, and as soon as the explosions start coming up behind them, they see Uruguay wasn't actually dead, just very badly burned. Shake and Jerry decide they aren't buying what this solicitor is selling.
Ustanok asks for a 20, but the two didn't have change for a 50, so they shoot him through the heart, which takes a bit for him to notice before he starts falling apart in front of their eyes. And the day is saved!
It's a shame about that Ulysses kid. He was a nice boy.
He tried to kill us multiple times!
He did? I don't remember.
Summary of this game in a nutshell.
I hope he gets into the college he wanted to.
I'm going to ignore that. And now we've made it to what was once the secret campaign. When the game first released, this campaign was only unlocked after the other 3 campaigns were completed. The PS4 allowed you to play this campaign from the very start. Also, when the game first released, this campaign was single player only. It took a few months, but Agent was added to the campaign.
It was because of the bees. No one wanted to play it because the bees were freaking broken.
We're not doing the Nick Cage joke.
Fair enough. So, Chapter 1 starts with Ada diving into a submarine. She sheds her exoskeleton and bobs her head back so that she can obviously get all that water off of her. Also boobs.
So as Ada and Agent make their way through the submarine, they find that Ada has been doing some unsavory things. Or has she?
If you think I'm going to sit back and be your scapegoat, Simmons, you've got another thing coming.
Shit hits the fan, the sub starts sinking, and fires are ignited all over the place. Ada escapes the sub, and we move to Chapter 2. There are two things you'll notice about Ada's chapters. They're shorter than everyone else's, and they're less coherent. She jumps around from place to place so much that it's sometimes hard to keep track of where she was when, but the game does a good job of making it an overall enjoyable experience.
You should notice Ada's second chapter starting point, as it's near the cemetery starting point of Leon and Helena. She goes underground, becomes a grave robber, and soon meets up with Leon and Helena, slightly after Dabra has made her transformations.
Blah blah blah, minecart ride and fun with glitches.
Now we're falling through the earth. Did we die? Okay.
After taking out Dabra, Ada makes her way to the underground labs, fights some big punchies, and soon makes her way out of the labs after discovering Simmons made a clone of her. So, Chapter 3 starts. Ada goes to China and travels through the playground to meet up with Chainsaw Man. She shoots the Chainsaw Man and gets on a truck.
Chainsaw Man decides he wants a rematch, so Ada shoots him on the truck.
Ada and the Chainsaw Man get off at the train tracks and they fight. A train hits the Chainsaw Man and sends him flying across China. Ada decides to board this train, despite her better judgment.
Remember, when in China, avoid trains at all costs. They're out for blood. On top of the train, Ada sees Leon's plane making a safe landing in the distance.
Boy, somebody really wants this world to burn.
Due to his impeccable piloting.
Ada saves Shake and Jerry from the Chainsaw Man an additional 2 times before they tell him a wonderful joke that really cuts him up.
Note that the rooftop Shake and Jerry fight the Chainsaw Man on was the same one that sunk for Chris and Piers in their campaign. The helicopter that ends the Chainsaw Man is the same chopper Chris and Piers shoot down. Subtle details like that make this game almost enjoyable.
Chapter 4 starts as Ada takes a jet ski out to a tanker and boards it. The entire tanker is filled with Ada avoiding Chris and Steers, while also fighting her way through Jawabu.
Ada learns that Simmons is obsessed with her, and even went as far to turn his wife into her. Ada takes a statue of the Quad Towers and knows exactly where she needs to head.
But she doesn't go far before seeing herself fall to her death.
That's not really Ada.
It looks like her.
We are in control of the real Ada.
Fair point.
Ada goes down to check on Carla, who fell to her death. She shows pity on her before Carla tells her the pity isn't needed.
So, of course, the sorority chick starts puking all over the place and turning it into a mushy mess like a typical Friday night. She tells Ada that she will create anarchy and become the queen of the world.
I don't think that's how anarchy works.
Ada runs from the abomination that Carla has become and finally destroys it with liquid nitrogen. Carla falls to pieces, and then Ada boards a helicopter on her way to Quad Tower.
Chapter 5 starts with Ada using her helicopter to protect Leon and Helena, then minces several attack choppers before she arrives at Quad Tower to help Leon and Helena take down T-Rex Simmons.
After Ada makes the dinosaurs go extinct, she flies to the roof while helping some survivors by knocking down a radio antenna to make something go on with the radios.
She lands the helicopter and starts going down the building before she encounters Simmons, and once again helps Leon and Helena fight him. Why won't this guy just die?
Ada decides she's done with his shit and roasts him to the point that he definitely would never come back, and decides it's safe to abandon Leon while she explores a lab that Carla was running.
Pro tip, he comes back. Using the Quad Tower statue, she unlocks a secret lab to see something hatching from a cocoon. Ada destroys the lab and fades into the ether to never be heard from again.